How's it going, everybody? My name is Artorigold, and today I want to talk to you guys about Reinhardt. Specifically, how to play Reinhardt at the lower levels. So, as we all know, playing Reinhardt at a lower level, or playing any character at a lower level, you gotta do some different things in order to climb, and then you can change your play style once you get that higher rank. So the first thing that I'm gonna go over is what I'm doing with Reinhardt at the very beginning. As you know, a lot of Reinhardts just play way too passively at the low rank. I see they aren't aggressive enough, and that's probably the biggest difference between playing a lower rank Reinhardt compared to a higher rank one, is you have to be much more aggressive. You have to press that W button. So first off, what you want to do is you want to use your charge, and you want to get set up before the enemy team as quickly as possible. You're going to try and get as much ground. You're going to just get up right forward. As you can see, I'm already at the middle of the point, while the Reinhardt is just now leaving the gate, which allows me a little bit more space for my team. And I'm not going to give that space away for them. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get as aggressive and swing my hammer, even though that I have like the Brig, the Reinhardt, and the D.Va all right here are on me. I'm getting healed by a Moira, I believe, right? Yeah, I'm getting healed by a Moira. So one of the things you have to take into consideration when you're playing Reinhardt is who your main healer is. If you have a Moira, you're going to have incredible main healing per second. Like, your healing per second is just going to be insane. So you're really able to just go very aggressive with it. You're able to get more aggressive than you would be if you had a Mercy or a Zen or a Lucio, right? The Moira just has raw healing per second that enables you a lot more for consistent sustained fights. The Ana is really good. She has really good burst healing, but when it comes to just, you know, left click and holding down a left click, the Moira is definitely gonna win that. So let's go over this fight a little bit and how it's played out. So in the very beginning, I'm going to back off just a little bit because, as you can see, there's 4 people coming right at me, but the biggest thing that I'm scared about is this Brig. At this point in this video, Brig nerfs have not hit live. She is able to stun me through my shields. There is nothing I can do about that, and I gotta be really cautious of that. However, to take things into consideration, we have a D.Va. So one of the big things about playing Reinhardt is if you have a Zarya and they don't, it allows you to be way more aggressive. You're able to get that bubble, you're not gonna get stunned by the Brig, you're able to hit the Brig back, and you can actually out DPS the Brig, depending if there's an Ana back there. But right now we just see a Lucio, Brig, D.Va, and Rein. So I believe the Moira healing plus the D.Va bubble is going to really enable you a lot more than the D.Va and Brig are going to enable a Reinhardt. So basically, I'm going to just try and use as much left clicks as possible. And really good bubble by my Zarya there. So a lot of the damage is kind of mitigated from that Doomfist, but I'm not going to even use my shield. So as you can tell, my right click shield, although I had the opportunity to use my right click shield, and I could use it in this situation instead of going in for these melee attacks. But what's the shield really going to accomplish? They have a Brig, Rein, which are just going to melee me, so holding up my shield isn't going to stop any of their damage, and then I got a D.Va shooting at me and a Lucio shooting at me, which really isn't a big concern. I can take that damage. The shield is really only good against the Doomfist, but also Doomfist is going to punch me and uppercut me, so the shield really doesn't have too much of an effect in this instance. So going in and using melee attacks is going to apply pressure to the enemy team. Look at Brig's health right now. These melee attacks have her to like you can't even see that. So always keep the enemy team comp into consideration when you're playing Reinhardt. Is your shield going to have value, or is your hammer going to have more value? So that charge right there wasn't that good, by the way. Charge would have been okay because I saw the Doomfist slam in. So you see the Doomfist, he goes in, but my Doomfist actually just punches him right in the face. So that charge could have been a little bit better. I could have either used that charge a little bit sooner, or I could have waited until the Reinhardt used his charge. You can punish enemy Reinhardts with your charge. You want to usually save it for a guaranteed kill, or maybe going on a Reinhardt who just finished a charge. Some character that doesn't have a mobility move. For example, if you see a D.Va and she just used her boosters recently, you could charge her and that'd be really good. But you don't want to charge to the point where you're out of position completely. So when you get charged at an area where you're not able to get helped by your team, it's very devastating, especially if you're running a Moira as a main healer. In that instance, the Moira won't be able to like chase you down. If you charge way too far, then your Moira is not going to be able to help you. You need to take that into consideration. So your flame strikes are very powerful. One thing to note is the D.Va will be trying to eat your flame strike as much as possible. So you want to be spamming them where the D.Va is not able to hit your flame strikes. In most situations, your flame strike is really good against Briggs and you want to focus them, but you can also use your flame strikes to try and get just ult charge on Reinhardt, which is another easy thing to do. If there's no Zarya, you don't have to worry too much about the Zarya using it for energy charge. So here what I'm doing is I'm just going to get aggressive. There's no reason not to get aggressive in this situation. You just beat them, right? There's nothing that your hammer isn't going to do to this D.Va. So if you're fighting a D.Va in a 1v1 situation, so let's look at this. Obviously, the Doomfist, I'm just going to chase him down, try to flame strike him, melee him, but now there's nobody able to... So now that that Doomfist is dead, what do we have here? We have this D.Va who's just going to sit there, and I'm going to hammer her until I get my ult charge. I'm at 91%, and I'm just going to keep meleeing her. You out-damage a D.Va in this situation. You have full health. The entire enemy team is like almost dead for the D.Va, so you have a pretty big advantage here, and she's alone. And what are you going to do in a bad situation against D.Va? Well, you can just hold down right-click. When D.Va is holding down left-click, she moves pretty slow. In comparison to Reinhardt holding down right click, you move really slow as well, and D.Va holding down left click with her damage and her gun also moves really slow. So you want to take that in consideration, and I'm just going to go ahead and back off. I basically just used her for ult charge. So one thing that you can do with your charge, you want to be careful, but if you see a corner like this, so this is kind of like a hallway. I mean, you know, take it for what it's worth. This is a straight line, right? So here we have a straight line, and there's going to be teammates who are going to be cut off right here at this choke point behind him, right? We're not sure how many. Probably a little bit less because we got a kill not too long ago. But what you can do here is you can definitely get away with charging any people that are exposed right here. I think using your charge aggressively can be good if you know that you're going to hit a wall. For example, I know I'm going to hit this wall right here with this charge. I'm not going to go charging all the way out here and then be left all the way out in the enemy spawn, and there's nobody who's going to be able to help me, right? Not only am I going to charge in a straight line, hit this wall, not be overextended, but I got my Zarya right here. So if anything bad happens, she can bubble me, and I could probably even use my shatter if I need to, or just use my right click and disengage. However, you want to take calculated aggressive plays. Don't charge into the enemy spawn. You want to make charges that are aggressive, but not like unreachable, right? Or unsavable. So those are things that you should do. Also, I get a pick out of it, so I get a lot of value. And here my Zarya gets a big graviton. Unfortunately, I don't block it, which I'm a little sad about that, but we pretty much win this fight. And I'm just going to focus on the point. Really good slam. I don't know if it was necessary. I think it was okay. It was an aggressive slam and it kept me alive. Let's look back at the fight a little bit. My Zarya gets a big grab, and meleeing and flame striking into a big grab like that is a lot of value. We commit Transcendence, they commit Nano, we commit Grav. I'm going to commit Slam this fight. I think committing Slam is okay. At this point, the fight hasn't been won. I killed the Brig, but nobody else has died yet. The D.Va is alive, the Rein is alive. We don't have anybody really dead except for one off healer. So I think committing the Shatter in this fight was good because it helped guarantee the win on the fight. But shattering is more of a guarantee that I stay alive. It might sound like I'm just trying to justify it. I mean, I think I am. I think overall that was a pretty good slam because you do get shatter very quickly. I think it's very easy to get a shatter. And here they're just snowballing in, actually. I'm actually really surprised that they're just trying to trickle in right there. The enemy team is actually staggering themselves. So pushing up aggressively like this is huge. The Brig and Doomfist are kind of throwing the game right now because we killed the D.Va, we killed the Reinhardt, and they're just trickling in at this point. And we're able to get these huge picks on them. And at this point, this McCree and Anna are the only people alive, and they're really just overextended. Because if we had our Lucio, and our Lucio was being a bit more aggressive, the Lucio could have speed boosted me, and I could have easily have meleeed and killed these two. Probably even committed like a flame strike, and if I hit the flame strike, then a melee probably would have been enough. Melee flame strike with the Lucio speed boost. Our Doomfist is being really aggressive, that I really like that. And here you can see the D.Va swap to the Zarya, actually. You definitely want a Zarya Reinhardt. It just enables so many more things than a D.Va Reinhardt, especially on King of the Hill. Zarya does so much more damage and pressure. So obviously, I want to go for this Brig. Applying pressure with my W rather than shield is actually way better in this situation. As you can see, what's happening here is my Pharah is trying to barrage. As you can see, what I could try to do in this situation is hold down right click and use my shield, or I could try to just push them and apply damage to them. There's two different situations with that. So you commit doing damage with barrage, but your shield isn't going to save the Pharah because she's too high into the air. So committing damage with your hammer is going to make it so even if the barrage like gets one kill or maybe even not one kill and dies, because it's very common that a barrage is, you're very vulnerable during it, that you're going to die with barrage, you can instead just commit to the damage with the hammer and then try to get them while they're trying to shoot at the Pharah. So on this map on Oasis, there's two different ways to play. There is a third way, but I mean, who's going to go the third way? So you have the jump pad over to the left, and you have the main area, and then you have the right area with the cars, car, jump pad, and mid. So there's always going to be different callouts for different maps, but this might be more of a map specific thing. So basically it depends what your team comp is running and where you want to fight. So you pretty much never want to run onto the car area. The only situation where you run onto the car area is if the enemy team is holding the high ground on the jump pad. So for example, if you have hit scan characters or an Ana, you want to go to the jump pad or 1. And that's where you want to go in order to try and hold that area, which covers this left half of the mid area. So by going left onto the jump pad first, this enables the hit scan players, this enables Zen, this enables Ana, allows them to be able to be pretty safe, and it's a decent area to go, and that's where most people are going to fight, which is at the 1 area. Second thing they can do is they could go to just fight on mid or go to point. You can call it whatever you want, mid or point. And going on there is really good for death ball comps or goat comps. And if you're playing Reinhardt Zarya, that's also a really good place to go. And the car area, you almost never go there. You don't ever go there. The only time you go to car is if the enemy team has the hit scan characters like we talked about before, and they're all landing on the jump pad, and you're unable to contest them because you're running a slow moving comp, or your dive comp is just not able to get through that damage and their peels. Then instead what you do is you actually go to car, and then you get on the right side of the mid area right here. And then because of that, it forces the jump pad people to get onto the point, and then that's where the fight can be brought to them. And that's when you do the car area. But that's kind of more of an advanced thing, and it's very rarely going to happen on the solo queue ladder. But that's what you would do in a normal team fight situation. But in most situations, you just go mid or jump pad. So fighting mid or the jump pad area is where you want to go. Typically, I like to go to the jump pad. I like to go to mid right here. And then from here, I have two decisions because you got these tiny little holes like all through this wall, and you can tell where the enemy is going to go. And from there, you can kind of meet them, and that's what you want to do. So I just kind of take a peek, are they going right? They're going left? I'm not sure where. Okay, so they commit to the left, and you start every fight with a really nice fire or flame strike, whatever, in order to get damage for your ult charge. In that case, I was able to get a really nice pick on the Moira, which is actually really lucky. And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier, is that you charge the Reinhardt who charges first. If you see an enemy Reinhardt and he gets extremely aggressive with a charge, then what you can do is you just move out of the way, and then you're going to charge him. So one thing, if there's a bit of distance, so as you can tell, there's a little bit of distance here. And what you got to look at is you got to either aim it to the right a little bit more, or you got to aim it to the left a little bit more, because the Reinhardt's not going to stand still. And an easy way to predict which way the Reinhardt is going to go is who is closest to his hammer. So who's closest to his hammer in this instance? Bam. And bam. So I know he's going to go more to the right, and because of that, I'm going to angle my charge and slide it more to the right because I know he's going to go that way. That's called 900 IQ big brain plays. So as you can see, he's moving towards the right because he's going to try to melee people with his hammer. So I'm basically just holding down right click at this choke. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I have a Pharah, their Moira is dead, they don't have too much of healing available to them. I can literally just hold down right click and allow my Pharah to just apply spam pressure to them. And because they only have Mercy healing right now, there's not a whole lot of healing going about right now, right? So I just hold right click, I don't have to even move, and I just wait for something happened. Oh, and something happened. Pharah boops me in the back line. Now, normally, this is bad. I am way out of position, and we got a Rein right here, we got the Mercy right here, Zarya right here, McCree right here, Pharah in the sky. It's bad, right? That's not looking good. But You can use your charge, just turn right around and try to use your charge to get yourself back to safety. And if you're able to, bring a souvenir along with you. Which I did. And because of that, we're able to get a lot more aggressive. As soon as the enemy Reinhardt is dead, you are enabled. You are now free to go. You have a shield, the enemy team doesn't. If you hold down right click, your team wins. If you move forward and use your hammer, your team wins. I mean, it's just a huge advantage to get that Reinhardt dead. If you have a Reinhardt, an enemy team doesn't in this situation, I mean, there's almost nothing they can do. Your team is able to be so much more aggressive than they could normally. I mean, look at them. They're pushing towards spawn. They have no fear, which is great. However, in this situation, they do need to be a little bit more careful because I died. It was okay. I mean, I got a little too aggressive there. I think I could have backed off a little bit more, but it's all right. I think my team's playing really well enough, and the enemy team is staggered so heavily that it's not going to make too much of a difference. So what I'm doing right now is called making the play. It might be good, it might be bad. It's a risk versus reward. This is something that a lot of Reinhardts are picking up on, and it's really big. You go flank Reinhardt shatter. You go around a corner. You crouch walk. They can't hear you. They can't hear the footsteps when you're crouch walking, right? I'm whispering because I don't want the enemy team to hear me. And so what you do is you wait for the Reinhardt to go forward, and as soon as that happens, you get a big slam on everybody in the back line. You do a flame strike, you charge, or you can just melee. All depends on where everybody's positioned. And so I'm gonna wait very patiently, and I'm not going to reveal myself until I really need to go in. So I put the spray down. It's good that you do the spray. And you just have to wait really patiently, and you gotta try and make sure that the enemy Reinhardt... Okay, so first off, the Reinhardt's slamming right now, meaning I need to slam right now or my team's gonna be at a big disadvantage. And I get one person. Not that much value, but it's okay. It is some value. And somehow that kills Zarya. I don't know why that spawn door kills Zarya, but it did. Anyways, let's go back to the beginning. So this is something that works really well on a lot of maps. Not this map. I actually would say that this map is not a good map to do it on. There's a lot of maps with really good places where you could hide around little corners. It really kind of depends on what map you're going for, right? In this situation, this map isn't very good. There are different maps in Oasis where doing this trick is a lot better, but overall, I'm kind of making more of a risk. Because we're dominating the game so badly, I'm going to go for the play, and I think it's going to be pretty effective because, as we can see, the Reinhardt didn't notice me at all. If nobody notices you right here, see the Reinhardt's not even like looking. I'm good. I'm safe here. The Reinhardt isn't even looking at me. He's not paying attention to me. I think if you're at a low rank, doing this kind of play is huge. I don't think many people are going to check for it or expect it, and I think you can get away with it. It'll work the first time. Like almost 99% of the time. The first time you do it, it'll work. Now the second and third time, maybe not so much. The odds definitely go down the more you try to do this trick. But the very first time you try to go for this flank shatter, or you wait for the enemy team to move in and shatter them from behind, this trick will work the first time. But after that, they'll be like, I'm catching on to you. They'll start checking corners and things like that. Or maybe they won't and you're able to do it again. But I definitely suggest doing it maybe once a game. If you try to do it more than once, it might not be that effective, or your team might need your help. It's definitely something you do if you're winning or if you're ahead. So here I'm actually just gonna try and press F to pay my respects for that McCree. The shatter actually wasn't even that good. I get it on one person, which was a Zarya. I don't think it had that much value, but it's okay. I think it was more for the memes than anything. This charge also, really bad, really terrible idea. Never do that charge. But at the same time, we're at 90% to the point. There's no way that these people are going to be able to touch it, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do. We're basically playing at the spawn right here, so the enemy team isn't able to touch, and that's exactly what happens. They weren't even close to the point. So, in summary, when you're playing Reinhardt at a lower level, hit W. You go forward. Don't stay at the choke point. It's just not getting any value. Your shield, although while it is a powerful tool for your team, your hammer is better. It applies damage, it applies pressure, you get more ult charge, it makes the enemy back off, and you're creating space that way. And that's what you need to do at the lower ranks to really climb. Go for a flank shatter play too. Those are huge. people at Diamond and below, even at Master and Grandmaster and Top 500, people don't always expect it. The first time it happens, it's probably gonna work. Like, I would say 99% of the time you go for that flank shatter, it's gonna work the first time. You know, if you try to do it more than once, that's when you probably have to call it quits and stop. But that first time is always going to work. As long as you're sneaky, make sure nobody hears you and nobody sees you. Crouch walk is very important for that strategy. Next up, just remember, the best defense is a good offense. Seriously, stick to that, because that's how you climb at the lower ranks of Reinhardt. Once you get to a higher rank, I would say probably low masters, that's when you'll have to adjust your play style. But until then, be aggressive. Don't be afraid of taking damage. You have a lot of health. You have a lot of armor, which has damage reduction properties to it. And if you really get in trouble, you can hold down right click. But really, you just want to be able to push forward. Keep in mind that your team needs you to go in first. If you don't go in, then your team won't go in. You're the leader of your team. In a way, you're gonna set the mood of where your team goes, how fast they're gonna go, where they're gonna go, everything, right? You're dictating the pace of your team's movement. If you push forward as Reinhardt, then your team will follow you. If you sit at the choke point and just hold right click and shield, nothing's going to get done. You cannot be afraid as Reinhardt. You have to push forward. Yes, you will take damage and it will hurt. You need to make sure you get in there and you do your job, soldier. All right? So anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you guys learned a thing or two. Make sure to go press W, and I'll see you guys next time.